All right, everybody, welcome. After the quick break, you were working up on the exercises for module number 13, talking about the UAT functionalities, having the task recorders, uploading them to BPM libraries, manually automated in an automated way, however you want to get that achieved in there. So thank you very much for completing on the practice exercises. Let's go to the last module for the day, which is talking about module number 14, preparing for go live. Well, this module is a conceptual one, but talks about some of the best practices we should be using and what is the structured approach for doing a go live for any of your upcoming projects or any of your running projects down there. So when we talk about in this module, we would be discussing how to get ready to go live, and then pretty much we would be discussing some of the checklist, what kind of involvement will be available from the end user, from the implementation partner, or you being the primary person managing the production environment and all. So let's start working and understand how do we prepare to go live when it comes to Dynamics 365 finance and operations. So it's really important to understand in here, the very first step says update go live date in the LCS, and that keeps on changing. So whenever you have that LCS project created, every phase comes up with the dates and deadlines. You can always change those dates as and when required. So it's important you keep on updating your go live date and every phase-wise dates over there to keep track of what's going on and what are we expecting our project in towards in which particular direction. At the same time, complete and send a pre-go live checklist, and this is really important. Depending on whether it is a Microsoft Fast Track deployment, or you're talking about the volume licensing, or you've got a dedicated Microsoft contact associated with the project. So once you are done with everything from your end, including the AOT, you should be preparing a go live checklist on an estimated somewhere around 3 weeks before the estimated go live date, and send it to Microsoft Fast Track team for review, which will include various details in terms of your LCS project number, the number of users you have, the licensed users, what are the major customizations you have, the number of legal entities. I'll show you the checklist is publicly available. You can pretty much download it from Microsoft site. I'll share the URL with everyone, so you will see what all those fields that checklist actually contains. Then you click on a go live assessment workshop. You pretty much go ahead, and then the question comes up over here, the fast track architect review. So the assigned fast track architect from Microsoft will review your checklist and all, and pretty much once Microsoft satisfied with all the inputs down there, they will release the production deployment. And this would be the step number 4, where your environment manager, whoever's managing your environment, would be able to deploy the production environment by choosing what specific prefix they would be using into the URL naming over there, along with what is going to be the region and zone they want to make it available as the primary region for deployment. And then you request the production deployment over there, which will include the sizing of your production environment, and then the deployment step actually comes up over there. And once it's in there, once your deployment gets completed, you submit your deployable package installation request to Microsoft. By default, that is always 4 hours as the defined timeline what the downtime's gonna be, but it can always change depending on how big or small those customizations are. 4 hours is pretty much the default timeline when it comes to submitting and getting them over there. At the same time, when you submit request, the copy database from sandbox to a production, you've got your golden copy somewhere in any of your tier 1, tier 2 system down there, and you would be submitting a request most probably from a tier 2 system to your production copy, where you'll be having all the data lift and shifts happening over there, submitting that request to Microsoft. And then once the copy is getting successful, your production system is ready, and that would be the time when we come up on the cutover sizing, whether it's 2 days or 1 week or 3 days, depending on how we would like to perform. We can pretty much have our go live achieved at the same time. So this is giving me a standardized approach of any project implementation of any specific technology, but this time D365 LCS, how that's being followed in there. At the same time, they're talking about the same processes one by one in here. You update your go live date in the LCS on the project itself. you complete and send the checklist. Pretty much you can get the checklist right from here. That is available on your slide decks as well. The link's available. You can download the checklist, fill it up, and send it to your Microsoft Fast Track team. Then the assessment comes up where the responsibility of this step is the Fast Track architect assigned directly from Microsoft to the project, who would be taking care of everything's fine as per the best practices. The best practices are being followed. It has to be in a way how it should be, including the licensed users and all those things. At the same time over there, you can pretty much have a request for release for production deployment. The moment Microsoft releases the production environment on the LCS environments area, you would be able to see configure production button, and then you start working on the sizing, the locations and all. And once you deploy that production environment, then you apply all your SDPs, the software deployable packages. In your sandboxes or UAT, you can directly do that. You don't require Microsoft's permission to do that. But in case of production environment, a cloud hosted production environment, you submit that SDP request to Microsoft, and Microsoft will be applying those software deployable packages, any kind of customizations to the environment right across. By default, I was talking about a 5 hours lead time and 4 hours downtime per package, what Microsoft requires. 95% of your updates will be completed in here, but because of any reason, if that gets extended, you'll keep on getting LCS notifications from the LCS team down there. At the same time, optional step, but we require them. You might want to request a database copy from sandbox to production for the very first time, the initial data uploads and all, and later on you can replicate your production instance to your UAT more often, every 2 weeks down the line, to make sure you've got the identical copies for further testings and further fine tunings down there. At the same point of time, once your customer's production ready, you do the cutover activities, whatever needs to be done in there, run the systems in parallel, and directly move to finance and operations. You go live and start working on that. Then we comes into a post-production area where people might be facing some ongoing issues, support request kicking in, talking about a little bit fine tunings down there. So that comes up as a post-production activities down there. So that was one thing which was talking about working on the GoLive segmentation at the same time. So major things, the checklist, what needs to be done, important thing, what will be there. And I'm talking based on experience. This is really important that you complete the LCS methodology down there. Important thing is, if some of your phases are still open and you're sending that GoLive checklist directly to your Microsoft Fast Track architect, most probably you'll be getting the reply that please complete your LCS phases. So that has to be a green check up till ready to go live down there, and then only Microsoft's going to release the production environment. That has happened with a couple of customers in the past. Perform your UAT for your solution. So there's a specific questions in the checklist. Have the UAT been performed? Has the performance testing been performed? And if not, specify a valid reason, and Microsoft heavily recommends that you should be doing UATs multiple times before you actually move in anything to production, whether it's before, during, or post go live processes. You have your go live assessment. This is pretty much done by the Fast Track team. And of course, the requesting the production environment needs to be done by your environment manager. It could be someone from the in-house team. It could be your implementation partner. So pretty much once you request the production environment after sending the checklist and everything goes fine, Microsoft releases the production environment and you deploy and do an initial copy and start working with the cutover activities. So that's a theoretical module talking about some of the go-live initiatives, what needs to be taken care of when we talk about these go-live areas down there. So this was the very first thing. This was module number 14, guys. We don't have any activities over here because they are usually done in an actual implementation when you actually send that production checklist to Microsoft Fast Track deployment team down there. So that was what we had as part of this MB-300 event. Now, before you sign up for the day, let me give you a couple of additional informations which would be helpful understanding all those informations one by one. All of you must have received a post-event survey Well, technically, that's not a hard and fast rule. You must always be filling up that, but it's important once we get inputs on or your valuable feedback, and we can pretty much improve our services further in terms of some of the key areas depending on the suggestions. So you can pretty much fill up your evaluations down there. You must have received the link. If you've already completed that, that's absolutely great. If not, you might want to do it by end of the day today or during the weekends, depending on your availability. Second thing, the availability of recordings. All of these recordings are uploaded to YouTube. You must have been receiving emails from the team containing the recording links down there. I've already sent one link to the chat, which is technically a playlist talking about all the recordings of all these sessions, what we were doing. So we've recently changed the way we were actually recording these sessions. And of course, you might find some of the videos quite interesting, and I would love to have your feedback on our recording process and the end video which is being produced on YouTube, how we can pretty much improve further. When you talk about some of the upcoming no-cost events, that is a great opportunity for all of you to have. So having said that, for this one, keep on checking us at GTechLearn.com, and you'll be having that events page that will pretty much give you all the upcoming events which are coming up, which are completely at zero cost. You can enroll them at any point of time. Currently, we are offering them in the US time zones. In future, we would be offering them at multiple time zones based on the geographical location. So you keep on checking this particular page. That will help you registering yourself for the upcoming no-cost events offered by us. At the same point of time, when you talk about some of the practice tests, so the team will send you the information about one of the practice tests associated with MB-300. You can pretty much take a look, and that will give you a fair idea what kind of questions you're expecting in the exam if you're preparing yourself for the certification down there. Then you have got your completion certificate, and that for the completion certificate, the team will send you that depending on, for this one, the requirement is you must have to complete your event survey. So make sure you complete the survey for this particular event. So your certificate will be mailed to your email address after maybe today, end of the day, or early next week, depending on how the team's processing that. You can always book your exam directly from Microsoft, so it's important to understand that when you're preparing for certifications, you go MB-300 exam, and important thing is you go to the official site itself, so that's going to be docs.microsoft.com, and right from here you can trigger the exam booking process. Depending on if you've got some vouchers, some discounts, that will be applied during the booking process when you're booking it from the Pearson VUE. And depending on your geographical locations, the exam prices may vary, of course. The whole thing you might want to do is schedule this exam, log in with your Microsoft associated ID, and it's a straightforward process. You can appear from this exam from your home in a online proctor based mode. You can appear it in any of your Pearson VUE sites if you want to do that. If I'm at your place, to be very honest, I will spend a couple of weeks understanding that application again and again in terms of theoretical analysis, some of the freely available resources. I would like to do a lots of hands-on before I would appear for the exam, have some practice exam confirmations, pretty much doing some of the sample questions down there, and then I should be appearing for the exam, which is giving you what are going to be the skills going to be measured percentage wise, which areas can appear into the exam. So these are a couple of things and informations which would be helpful for you right across in there. And feel free to submit your feedback. I hope to see you soon in some of our upcoming events related to Azure and Microsoft 365. At the same point of time, we are planning to launch a couple of events, free cost, no cost events, and some of the paid events as well for Indian region, UK region, depending on the geographical locations and availability of dates. So keep tuning us with us. The team must be sending you all those informations over your email. You can check out from the site as well. So this was what we had from this particular training program, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I should see you soon in the next upcoming events down there. Okay, Thank you very much, guys.